Zarya module, the first component of the International Space Station that was launched on a Russian Proton rocket from Baikonur back on November 20th, 1998. Those arrays no longer needed since there is ample power to service both the U.S. and Russian and Japanese and European segments of the International Space Station in the ever-growing complex up on orbit. The shuttle station complex has just crossed the equator, moving from northwest to southeast in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator, orbiting at an altitude of 213 statute miles, all systems in excellent shape. Once again, a busy day on tap for the 10 crew members as they work on a variety of different activities. One of the first activities that will be tackled will be by Commander Mark Kelly and Mission Specialist Mike Fossum, who will be spending time performing a slight modification to resistors in devices known as battery charger modules. These are the modules in the Quest airlock in which extravehicular mobility unit batteries are recharged for use in the U.S. spacesuits. There are four so-called BCMs in all, BCM being the battery charger modules. Two of those modules are going to be returned to Earth because they need to be refurbished with less toxic batteries than are currently observed to be present in those batteries. The issue with the two new batteries that were flown up on Discovery is that there's going to be a small modification, a small in-flight maintenance procedure that will be conducted to cut a resistor and dampen the illumination provided in the LCD display from the circuit board on those modules to prevent the backlight capability from being too bright and generating too much heat. So as a result, Kelly and Fossum will be spending about 2 hours today in the Quest airlock working on a slight modification to the resistor cards in the two new battery charger modules that will be installed in the Quest airlock, in the equipment lock section of Quest. That installation procedure to occur on Flight Day 10, which is Monday. A good look right now at the Kibo science module, 37.5 feet long, that was attached to the port side of the Harmony connecting node the other day, and which began its outfitting externally yesterday with the installation of a pair of television cameras at the forward end of Kibo, as well as the removal of thermal covers from the robotic arm that will be tested out for the first time tomorrow by Karen Nyberg and Aki Hoshide. Right above Kibo is the large port truss of the International Space Station and the mobile base system that is affixed to that truss, the rail car that moves up and down the rail system of the truss to provide access for the station's Canadarm2, the robotic arm, to be in the right position to conduct its work throughout the course of any given mission. One programming note coming up at the top of the hour at 7 a.m. Central Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll be playing about 25 minutes of video that we have compiled that was received late yesterday and edited of the views from the solid rocket booster cameras that were aboard Discovery Stack when it launched from the Kennedy Space Center back on May 31st. That video has been reviewed by the shuttle program. No particular issues associated with anything out of the ordinary found from the SRB video, but you'll have an opportunity to see that for the first time coming up at the top of the hour at 7 a.m. Central Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, about 25 minutes of video showing 5 different views from the SRB cameras on Discovery. Shortly after 8 o'clock, work will begin in the Japanese logistics module that was delivered to the International Space Station aboard the Shuttle Endeavour back in March on the STS-123 mission, as Aki Hoshide and Garrett Reisman begin to configure the vestibule between the logistics module and Harmony for the ultimate depressurization of that vestibule, that small passageway that will lead to the unberthing of the logistics module at about 2 o'clock Central Time this afternoon. The station's robotic arm, the Canadarm2, will grapple the Japanese logistics module. Its bolts will be unbolted upon command from the ground and from the crew on board the International Space Station to free it from its temporary parking place on the zenith port of Harmony. It then will be maneuvered about 30 feet over to the zenith berthing port on top of the new Kibo Science Laboratory, where it will be installed and bolted into place permanently to be used essentially as a storage depot for all of the hardware associated with the operation of the Japanese Kibo Science Lab. Also, one other programming note, at 11:27 a.m. Central Time this morning, there will be 3 interviews with the 2 commanders on board the shuttle station complex, as Discovery's Commander Mark Kelly and Expedition 17 Commander Sergei Volkov are interviewed by KMSB Television in Tucson, Arizona, Scott Simon of National Public Radio, and the Associated Press Television Network. Those 3 interviews on NASA television coming up at 11:27 a.m. Central Time.